Welcome to Neo Royal House of Pricey Cardboard. Today, on episode 12 of Commander Gameplay, I can finally present you a deck that I like a lot but don't play as often, my Azor the Lawbringer list. I will be joined by Kelly as usual, and Hugo. Kelly will be playing our Tuvasa the Sunlit deck, and Hugo is Jirina Kudro once more. My Azor list has 3 sub-teams, 8 Bear, Flicker, and Commander Damage. Being a 6/6 flying, I need only one more stat to get on that sweet 7 Commander Damage, and I want to take out my opponent this way. This is backed up with Flicker for either ramp or control magic, and some prison or light taxes to slow my opponents. Kelly's deck is an enchantress strategy. She wants to cast a lot of enchantments, getting additional value for each of them, and finishing your opponent by either Commander Damage or an army of angels with Lyra Dawnbringer. Like Azor, if the game drags on too much, Kelly will be really hard to take out as it will cost 1 billion mana to attack her and she will be drawing a lot of answers to our threat. Finally, Hugo is here to balance this control pod by playing Mardu and hitting our face as hard and as quick as possible, even as a death trigger package if we keep clearing the board. His opening hand contains Archetype of Aggression, Talia Heretic Cathar, Chaos Warp, Talisman of Hierarchy, Talisman of Indulgence, Temple of Triumph, and a Swamp. Overall, a pretty good hand, only lacking in the draw department. 2 lands with one of them scrying should smooth the early turns, and 2 ramps for 2 for some quick mana advantage. The Talia early game is a great 8 bear as well. My opening hand contains Reflector Mage, Cleansing Nova, Prairie Stream, Sea of Clouds, Cathedral of War, Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, and a basic island. Pretty heavy on lands, but having my Cathedral of War and Nykthos in the starting hand is like having an equipment and a ramp. The board wipe also means that if I'm not dead before turn 4 or 5, I can reset the table and play my commander after. I would keep this hand any day of the week. And finally, Kelly's opening hand contains Idyllic Tutor, Farseek, Canopy Vista, Crescent Verge, Ash Barrens, Windswept Heath, and the Plains. Once again, heavy on lands, but enchantments tends to be heavy on color in their casting cost, so having all this ramp at fetch lands isn't really that bad in this deck. The Idyllic Tutor can fetch the Eidolon of Blossoms, which is both an enchantress and an enchantment, so I think this hand is more than fine. Kelly gets to start this match, and land drops a Crescent Verge. I land drop a Prairie Stream. Hugo land drops a Temple of Triumph, scrying 1. Kelly, basic land cycle or Ash Baron for a basic island, and land drop a Canopy Vista. I land drop a Cathedral of War. Hugo land drops a Swamp, and then casts a Talisman of Hierarchy. Kelly land drops a Windswept Heath. She casts Farseek and cracks the fetch land at the same time for a Temple Garden and a Breeding Pool, passing. I land drop Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. I cast Ghostly Prison, and Hugo grunts. Hugo misses his land drop, and casts Talia Heretic Cathar. Kelly land drops an island. She casts her commander, Tuvasa the Sunlit.
My people have always been here, and here we shall remain.
I land drop an island, and cast Leyline of Anticipation. Hugo casts Talisman of Indulgence. He then casts Kytheon, Hero of Akros. Going to combat, Talia goes to Kelly for 3 points of damage. Kelly land drops a plane. She casts Ajani's Chosen. Hoping to draw an untapped basic, I cycle my irrigated farmland and then land drop a sad, tapped Sea of Clouds. Hugo casts his commander, Jirina Kudro.
Strength is what keeps us alive. Compassion is what keeps us human.
Entering the battlefield, she creates a human soldier token. He heads into combat, and Talia goes to Kelly once more, but this time with 5 power. At the end step, Kelly casts Eladamri's Call, revealing a Sigarda, Host of Herons. She then land drops a Myriad Landscape. She casts Sigarda. I land drop a plane. I cast Knight of the White Orchid, and entering the battlefield, I search a basic plane. Since I have Flash, I pass with mana open. Hugo goes straight into combat. He sends Talia, Kytheon, and the soldier token to Kelly. Kytheon flips into Gideon, Battleforge. They grow up so fast. Hugo +2 Gideon and taunt the Knight of the White Orchid. It will be forced to attack into Gideon next turn. Hugo then casts Atrios, God of Passage, before ending his turn. Kelly casts Idyllic Tutor and fetch a Propaganda to her hand. While she fetches, I cast Talia's Lancer and fetch for a legendary card. Kelly casts the Propaganda. The Ajani's Chosen triggers and creates a cat token. She also draws a card from her commander. I reveal Avacyn, Angel of Hope for my fetch and go to my turn. I then drop Hypno Rivulet tapped. I go to combat and send the knight into Gideon and the lancers to Hugo. He blocks the smaller knight with his commander. Reacting to the block, I use my Nykthos to flash in Avacyn, Angel of Hope. The knight gains Indestructible and lives. Hugo then drops Shadowblood Ridge. He then casts Chaos Warp on my Avacyn. I shuffle and reveal an island. A bad trade, really. He +2 Gideon, taunting Kelly's commander. Going to combat, Hugo pays for my prison and sends Talia to me. Kelly then untaps and goes straight into combat. She sends Tuvasa to Gideon and Hugo blocks with Jirina. Kelly then casts Sun Titan. Entering the battlefield, she brings back her 3 CMC commander. I go to my turn and cast Azor, the Lawbringer at sorcery speed.
Be still.
In reaction, Kelly casts Enlightened Tutor, placing Flickering Ward on top of her library. Entering the battlefield, my opponents can't cast instants or sorceries during their following turn. I then cast a Top Vessel and head into combat. I send my Lancers to Hugo for 5 damage. Hugo casts a Rakdos Singing. He follow it up with Archetype of Courage. My knights just got demoted to non-first strike peasants. Kelly then casts Abundance. Adjani's Chosen triggers and creates a cat. She also draws a card. Kelly then casts Flickering Ward on the Sun Titan. In reaction, I flash in Reflector Mage, targeting the Sun Titan with its ETB. The self-returning aura goes to the graveyard and she ends her turn. I'll then drop a Snow-Covered Plains. I go to combat and send Azor to Kelly. I put 7 into Azor's attack trigger to draw 7 and heal 7. Azor gets exalted and deals 7 commander damage. Hugo then drops a Path of Ancestry. There's land in this deck. He casts Archetype of Aggression, now taking all the tramples to himself. He +2 Gideon to taunt my Lancers. Kelly draws and calls non-land for her Abundance, revealing Archetype of Imagination. She casts the Archetype and take away the flying. What is going on this game? Tuvasa triggers and Kelly decides to draw a land, a basic forest. She also creates a cat token. She then drops the forest and go to combat. She sends Tuvasa to me for 4 commander damage. At Kelly's end step, I cast a Pearl Medallion. I then cast Idyllic Tutor, fetching for Teferi's Ageless Insight. I then go to my turn. I then drop Skycloud Expense tap, and then cast True Conviction. Heading into combat, I send Azor to Kelly, and the Lancers to Gideon. Before going to blockers, I flash in an Angel of Serenity. Entering the battlefield, it exiles the blue archetype, the white archetype, and a trios under itself. I then cast Mangara the Diplomat with my leftover Nykthos mana. Before changing phase, Hugo casts Bedevil, destroying my Angel. The 3 creatures are returned to their owner's hand. Talia blocks her own Lancers, and Sigarda blocks Azor. Hugo then untaps and casts Unaware Militia Captain. After that, he casts Atrios God of Passage. My Mangara triggers and draws me a card. Kelly decides to draw a non-land card and reveal Carpet of Flowers. She then recasts Archetype of Imagination to my displeasure. Ajani's Chosen and Tuvasa triggers and she draws a land, revealing a forest. She then drops the forest and she follows it up with Carpet of Flower. Ajani's Chosen trigger and so does my Mangara. She passed by her combat step to go to her second main and creates 3 mana with the carpet. She casts Estri's Invocation, entering as a propaganda. I'm sure Hugo with his 7 mana is very happy about this. At Kelly's end step, I flash in a Mother of Rune and then untap. I'll then drop a Scavenger Ground, untap this time. I go straight to combat and pay to send Azor to Kelly. I then flash in a Gilded Lotus and then flash a Venser Shaper 7 to bounce the blue archetype to regain my flying capabilities. I put 4 into the X of Azor and take Kelly out of the game. At Hugo's upkeep, the Unaware Militia Captain flips into Westvale Cult Leader. He then casts Eleshnorn Grand Cenobite. He +2 Gideon to taunt my Mangara. At his end step, he creates a Human Cleric token. Reacting to this, I flash in Teferi's Ageless Insight. I'll then drop a Ghost Quarter. I cast Grand Arbiter Augustin IV, because clearly Hugo has too much mana power right now. I go to combat and Mangara head to Gideon and Azor to Hugo. I put 8 into the X and draw 16 cards off of my attack trigger. I flash in Bastion Protector before damage to buff my commander. Hugo blocks Mangara with Eleshnorn and take 12 commander damage. Hugo then casts Sol Ring. What did I tell you? Unstoppable. And +2 Gideon to taunt my commander. Going into combat, he sends the cult leader, Eleshnorn and Atrios to me. Reacting to attackers, I cast Time Wipe. Hugo respawn with Flawless Maneuver, which I respawn to with Swan Song. The spell is countered and my board wipe resolves. I bring back my commander to my hand. Atrios makes me pay 18 life so that Hugo's creatures stay dead. At his end step, I flash in Swiftfoot Boots. I untap and recast my commander. I equip the boots onto him and take Hugo out with my double striking Lightning Shoot commander. Looking back at this game, the Azorius deck managed to outram the Band deck, which is pretty nice. My Azor deck has seen a couple of versions. I started off with a lot more control piece and removals, but realized it wasn't really fun to play against. Even recently, with the release of Core 20, I removed 2 board wipes to put more proactive cards, and I think I like this list better. Hugo had a pretty rough game in terms of mana, and even more so because of prisons on his opponent's battlefield. He still managed to impact the game by dealing a lot of damage to Kelly and removing my Avacyn Angel of Hope. Kelly didn't have the worst game, but it wasn't as explosive as I've seen this deck be. This is mainly why I took care of the Flickering Ward, because I know this card can get out of hand real quick if she managed to get a second or third Enchantress on the battlefield. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed the new animations in this episode. The practice I got from the special number 4 were really nice and it did some additional content for you, so win-win. Tell me in the comments what I should look to improve next. Have a nice day and take care, my friend.